niwevo vanefuaya kafa vavaranda mweumfokulila kwa vantu kasama yusi vose vacindamea vakulu na vana mose vashitata na vana mayo vanelilawe mwamba kasama ile faya iwe wile wevo weshi mwamba leta experience alankane wevomba mwamba Imanuelo mose vakasama vale faya mwamba Imanuelo Imanuelo wakasama wakulira tulefaya mwamba wesu Imanuelo pale ni PF tulefaya mwamba wesu Imanuelo wakuitobwele Imanuelo mwamba mbasata Imanuelo tulefaya Imanuelo mwamba mbasata Imanuelo wakasama wakulira niwevo vanefuaya kafa vavaranda mweumfokulila kwa vantu kasama yusi vose vacindamea vakulu na vana mose vashitata na vana mayo vanelilawe mwamba kasama ile faya iwe wile wevo weshi mwamba leta experience alankane wevomba mwamba Imanuelo mose vakasama vale faya mwamba Imanuelo wakasama vakulira.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's The Brief. Today we are back with the audit report against the Anti-Corruption Commission and the missing 65 million kwacha, the $57,000 and the 1 million and 138 kwacha 41 ingwe. When we discussed this matter on Monday, we didn't know the authenticity of the document. We had no idea. Because the SEC held a press conference at which they disclosed nothing. There was a follow-up statement from Ministry of Finance. Again, they just referred to the payment, to the ceremony to transfer the funds where a dummy check was given to the Minister of Finance and payment to the university. No one has demonstrated that the money confiscated from Faith Musonda was deposited in the SEC account, transferred to the Bank of Zambia account control 99. This is a revenue account for government. Before the payouts were made to Ministry of Education and to hire to the University of Zambia through the Higher Loans Board. It is clear that no one has provided evidence that this money was deposited in the SEC account. Let me read to you what the Auditor General's findings were. They were very clear. The Auditor General stated that the funds obtained from Faith Musonda on 5th November and on 9th November, on those 2 days, were never deposited. Remember, the audit was conducted 3 months later, from January to March 2023. The audit was conducted recently, and there was no proof that this money was deposited when it was seized in November. And the auditor stated that no documents were availed to them, no deposit slips, no proof that this money was deposited in the in the SEC account. So we are back with this issue. There is no way the Auditor General's report would raise this issue if truly the SEC had deposited these funds. And if the SEC had deposited these funds, it's been 3 days of raging debate. we would have seen someone demonstrate that these funds were deposited in the SEC account, and then SEC transferred the funds to Bank of Zambia, where now the loans board were then paid, to Ministry of Finance, then to loans board, where then the payouts would have been given to the students. Yes, the students could have received the money. Control account is a huge account. It's a revenue account where money from everywhere, whether it's FRA, ZRA, RATSA, whichever generating government entity, passport office, immigration, whoever generates funds, even your police fines now have to deposit it directly there. So if the money were deposited in Control 99, the auditor would not have raised this issue. So where is the 65 million kwacha? Where is the $57,000? Where is the 1 million? And besides these big amounts, there are other sets of exhibit money that is missing. There's an 11 million kwacha that was collected but has never been deposited in the account. There's a 1 million cash given to me from the SEC account to Ministry of Mines for them to conduct an investigations in the Sujilite scandal. Now, the SEC is not a funding agency. The funding agency is a Ministry of Finance. The SEC, no matter how much deposits, no matter how much available cash it has, it can't fund another. It's not a funding agency. So how did the SEC get 1 million kwacha and give the office of the Minister of Mines? There are all these questions that I will invite you to speak to. We've now established that the interim management letter is genuine. The leaked document is authentic. They attempted to denigrate it, to cast aspersion that the document wasn't a genuine document. We have now established. Looking at the statement even from the Auditor General's office, for the Auditor General's office, they were worried that such a document had been leaked. That's what they were worried were, because in their view it contains raw information. It contains raw information because management has not responded after auditors went in. So even Auditor General's office didn't dismiss the authenticity of this document. It is genuine. And that's the goodness with whistleblowers, is they'll bring to light grievances that someone is trying to hide. The reason whistleblowers exist, the reason both our constitution and various statutes now protect whistleblowers is that they do it for the good of the public. And in this case, there is a missing 65 billion kwacha. It's been 3 days. No one has demonstrated that this money was deposited in the SEC account and then transferred to the Bank of Zambia Control 99, then from Bank of Zambia, then transferred to Ministry of Finance, who paid the Higher Education Loans Board for the students that then received the money. No one has demonstrated proof. So this document is referenced OAG, which is Office of the Auditor General, 101/2/108. The audit was done in accordance with Article 250 of the Constitution of Zambia, the 2016 one, and under the Public Audit Act of 1994, and under the Public Finance and Management Act of 2018. That was the authority. The letter that has leaked was an interim management letter for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 for the audit that was done between January and March 2022. The purpose was an annual process to ascertain funds that Parliament appropriates to the SEC to see if they were using it properly. Funds, if the funds were applied for the approved process, if they were expended economically and in conformity with the authority that governs the SEC and the various pieces of legislation, and then for the Auditor General's office to express an independent opinion on the financial statement. The audit, besides the 65 million kwacha, it has raised other serious matter. There is 11 million kwacha missing exhibit money. There is a 1 million kwacha that was given to the Minister of Mines. Now, the Minister of Mines and the SEC, they have no financial relationship. The SEC cannot produce money that it has seized and give the SEC, and give the Minister of Mines. The SEC is not a funding agency. The funding agency, according to our laws, our constitution, and the financial laws in this country, only the Ministry of Finance is a funding agency. That's why it will fund ministries. It will fund, if any entity has money, it will deposit it in Control 99. So there are various irregularities that have been raised by the audit. The Director General bought 2 phones from East Park, one an iPhone and another one from Telefonica, all worth 42 million kwacha each. The Auditor General has queried this purchase. The Director General, who's now the DPP, took a trip to Ivory Coast, a fully funded trip to Ivory Coast, but he collected money as if the trip was not funded. There's also been general abuse of resources. I'll cite one item the Auditor General's report has cited. According to Circular number 1 of 2020, no cash is supposed to be drawn. You are supposed to pay for services. The SEC went for a board meeting and management meeting, and they got, an impressed carrier got 300,000 kwacha. So instead of paying the hotel directly, the caterer directly, or whatever cost were associated with the trip, they got this 300,000 kwacha. This is against Circular number 1 of 2020 of Ministry of Finance. That forbids government officials from getting large sums of money. If you're going to Livingstone, you get the money for and pay directly, whoever is a service provider. If you be at the Royal, the Royal or Livingstone or any other hotel, you issue a check to them or a transfer payment and then show them proof of payment. But the general abuse of resources at the ministry, at the SEC, is so dastard that they ignore all these regulations. There are many issues that the Auditor General's report has raised, but I now have come to you, like I came on Monday, that the interim management letter that was leaked to the press, that was published, News Diggers and the Mast, and circulated on social media, is authentic. Yes, it's an interim management letter, meaning management is expected to respond to all these audit queries, because during the period the auditors visited the SEC, these documents were unavailable. Critical was documents relating to the 65 million kwacha, $57,000 and 1 million kwacha. This was in January and March. This particular incident occurred in November, and there was no proof, no evidence given to the auditors that this money was deposited. In fact, the auditors expressed concern that this money is missing, and he urged management that wherever you have put this money, ensure that you collect it and deposit it before it becomes a matter of public attention. Now, this is in March when they are expressing this opinion. This money was seized in November. And for me, I take it that this is so serious because there are other exhibit monies missing. There's an 11 million kwacha missing. There's a 1 million kwacha missing. There's a 1 million that was given to the Minister of Mines. Why is he quiet? Why did they allow this? Why did they even receive this money? And what did they do with it when they were investigating this Sujilite scandal? So upon the scandal of Sujilite, we had another big scandal of the 1 million kwacha that was received and given to the Minister of Mines for him to conduct these investigations or to ascertain what was happening to the Sujilite scandal. Now, the SEC is not a funding agency. I'll invite you to comment on these matters after our videos. I've brought back the issue of the Catholic and the attacks that were done by the UPND government to the Catholic Church. I think this matter is not going away. because, number one, the UPND government, President Hakainde Hichilema, and the Secretary General, Imenda, who called the Archbishop of the Metropolitan Archdiocese of Lusaka, Bishop, Most Reverend Dr. Alec Banda, he called him a Lucifer. They have not apologized for those adverse remarks. Further, the attacks on Father Anthony Kapambwesa Langeta, they've not apologized for those remarks. And they wish that the matter will go away. So let's play. We have 4 videos that we'll play just for the next 5-7 minutes. One by the board chair, Honorable Musa Mwenya, a wonderful man. He has made his name remarkable in this country, and we expect him to live up to his name because he has a good name in this country. And if there are shenanigans happening under his office, we expect him to, not to affirm the theft, the fraud. We expect him to call his management to order. We will play the video by President Hakainde Hichilema in opposition, where he was saying that the Catholic Church is a very important stakeholder, and they've been speaking from the 90s. Then we'll play, lastly, the video from Mansa Diocese, where Father Patrick Kabaso expressed concern against the attack on his Archbishop in Lusaka by the UPND government. Let's go to those videos. There are 4 of them. Then we come back. I'll invite you to come and make the phone calls.
Has not been leaked from the Auditor General's office without it being availed to us first. The history of this matter and the surrounding circumstances raise great concern. Ladies and gentlemen, you may wish to know that the investigation at the Ministry of Finance started in November 2020, long before this board was appointed. Following the investigations, the 2 Deputy Auditor Generals and the Auditor General were arrested on the 1st March 2023, 2nd March 2023, and 9th March 2023, respectively. Earlier, the Auditor General was interviewed on the 10th of February 2023. On the 3rd of March 2023, we received a formal request for information from the Auditor General's office in furtherance of an audit. The audit was therefore only initiated after the interrogation and later arrest of the top officials in the Auditor General's office. We have every confidence in the office of the Auditor General, which is a key institution of government. We support the work of the Auditor General and would not want to see a day when that important institution will be deployed to fight personal legal battles of any of its officers. Ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We will not address the document that is circulating on social media in its details, but suffice to say that it contains a lot of inaccuracies and details that appear tailored to deliberately embarrass the Anti-Corruption Commission. For example, at page 61 of the purported management letter, there is an allegation that 65 million kwacha forfeited from Ms. Faith Musonda was misappropriated. This is a blatant falsehood. All of you members of the press attended a media briefing and a handover ceremony on the 23rd of February 2022, at which the Anti-Corruption Commission handed over a check for the sum of 65,333,046 kwacha to the Honorable Minister of Finance. There were press reports carried, interestingly, by news diggers that this money had been handed over to the Bursaries Committee by the Ministry of Finance.
Thank you, very kind Madam Speaker, for permitting the good people of Lumezi to raise on a serious matter of public emergency importance. And Madam Speaker, taking advantage of your guidance on how you've counselled the Honourable Member from Speaker. Madam Speaker, you've given your members a diplomatic status in this House, so that when your members visit neighboring countries, they're given the much needed respect because they're honorable members. Madam Speaker, it is not by mistake, not by design. It is a matter of fact that I'm stating, and I'm ready to pay a heavy price for speaking and stating facts on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, we have had a conversation starting from yesterday that 65 million kwacha went missing. Madam Speaker, we've not seen the Zambia police drive to arrest people cited in that report. Madam Speaker, as I was growing up...
Order, Honorable Member. I don't know if you are still raising the same issue of the 65 million. Then raise your matter of urgent public importance. Don't go all over. And just to comment on the issue of respect, respect is earned. We as honorable members of Parliament, we should end
that the Catholics issued. And thank you, my colleague, for covering the misdemeanor of those two ministers, for disowning the credible Catholic Church, who have always been there to save us. In 1990, they were there to save the country from total collapse. The Catholics have been there ante-term. And we want to encourage the bishops and the Catholic flock not to be intimidated by a small group of people that are exiting government in a few months from now. They should not be intimidated. Be strong. Many of us respect your leadership in this country. Other church mother bodies, so ZCCB, who are others? CCZ, EFZ, they've all said no. Clear. Those are the people. They carry more people than any single political party. That's a fact.
Tungurushisha Ecclesia vale shito kuti shetani mwali umfwago tefyo emkwai Archbishop wakulusaka banda bamwitire okutila Lucifer kuchironganino ichireteka. Lucifer ni shetani ulio waponene kumulu eo baitako shikofu weso kuti ni shetani. Nerili ashi lyafuma fya panono pamulando wakulanda pamagrafu elio no lutoshi epafuma umusalula wina wina shirifye inendeti mweba politician na imwe mweba konkama politics yachimperesha mufwili okwishiwa okuti Ecclesia ashimpwa na Kristo umwine nangu mwela wise tete achitashani kanshi Ecclesia alilimbwa takatali atelententa mukatukana apo mulefu aila nensele shenu shikapuana mukanu akenu kabiri mukabwekesha apo na kabiri ukutukana shimo shine na sho shikapua mukutuka Ecclesia ichisheleko na mateyaka kama neshuwi likaya ilya kutukanina kwensele Ecclesia telelo atampo okutukwa kutina mwebukishako mweba kulilya kale ntamba lukuta mankangala munshifukatilwa kaunda tachindike bakatolika aleti bakatolika nga napita mulino kwendera pesa pali kolona twaliendelapo lesa mufulula naletusha muchibote na mukulekelesha kukanwa kakwe twakwate nchitwe ikalambanga nshi muri ba MMD government muri ba shukuru ba rupia banda umo Ecclesia asangwike na kabiri ichilwani chaba MMD finshi fya chiteke lesa asuka fyonse fyo abantu bakwe balelomba barupia banda bapona balira nekiramba mwalemona mwe balemonako bapona ubutungulushi bwafumapo nabwo eklesia alesha okulanda apakalamba nomba bwena kateka wabo alikweteka omuchinshi lungu tale angalira kuli eklesia tale tukana ababale mukonka ebale fwayo kulasa muna utunwa kwatifimbasa nomba nabo bafirwa mpaka fyelesa abakuntama bupanshi abapela ola munsokoso monse na mumagufi monse na mutu boyo monse na munsekete kumo abapela ili na kabiri twamona okuposhiwa kumusalu lo ushabatishiwa nganji huwa kutukache.
Thank you very much. We have set the debate. The numbers to call are 0974 808 115 and 077 3783 785. For those wishing to call on WhatsApp, I think use 0974 808 115 and 077 3783 785. For it's like our landline, but for WhatsApp use 0974 808 115 and the other number I will say it. In the video, you can see the board chairperson of the SEC literally make an attack on the Auditor General's report. He cast aspersion on its authenticity, but he said there was inaccuracies. Yes, they are expected to be inaccuracies because this is a management letter. So the management is supposed to respond. And usually what we do, remember I was permanent secretary and I was ambassador. When audit queries are raised, when the auditors visited you, and somehow maybe your officers were lazy, somehow the documents were not provided for, when they write this management letter, you ensure that you respond. If there are issues, then you'll be cited in the Auditor General's report. But at this stage, you can rebut. There are over 80 queries that the Auditor General has raised in this. You can reduce a number even maybe to 20 if you provided for the document. Of key importance is this huge 65 million kwacha that between January and March, there was no proof that the money was deposited in the SEC account and that the SEC then transferred the money to Bank of Zambia Control 99, where then a transfer was done to Ministry of Finance, which then disbursed as a funding agency to the Higher Education Loans Board. The second video you saw is Honorable Munia Zulu. He attempted to raise the 65 million kwacha issue in Parliament as a matter of emergency. And the Speaker, in her own wisdom, said it was not a matter of public agency and, they didn't discuss it. So Honorable Munia Zulu proceeded to discuss other matters, especially where members of Parliament have been abducted by the police. No call out, no anything, ambushed. They followed wherever they've gone and arrested like common criminals, and that was an issue at Parliament. Then we played two videos. The first one was by the president in opposition. You saw when there was an attack on the Catholic Church, he came to the defense of the Catholic Church. He said the attacks on the church were totally careless, and he called on, both even the church mother bodies and the Catholic Church to be resilient because this government was on its way out. I deliberately played those words. Is this government on its way out? How come he defended the church then and defines it offensive? He keeps on, his government keeps on saying these members of the clergy should either join them or should go to they should join them in politics or that they are PF cadres. And then you saw a video by Father Patrick Kabaso from Mansa Diocese, where he has defended his archbishop, and he has explained, gone to a great extent to demonstrate the role of the church in this country and how they've criticized every government and every president on account of issues of social justice, and they will not stop because of that. So let's open the lines. The numbers to call: 0974 808 115 or 77 3783 785. The debate today is still on the 65 million kwacha. Let's just ensure that these phones. Why is this one off? I'm so sorry, one of the phones was off. Sorry, we're just switching on this particular line. Okay. Sorry for that. One of the lines was off. I didn't even notice. The numbers to call are 097. Okay, we have the first caller. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, I'm calling from Kasempa. I always call you.
Yes, my brother. Is that
Yes.
Victor Kiamas? Victor, tell me your name, my brother.
Yes, exactly.
Victor from Kasempa, yes.
To interact with.
Yes.
It's a good contract. It's a very good topic.
Yes.
I'll start with. Yeah. I'm to because it has got more political members and neutral people inside it. So a church should always be neutral, and a church always castigates the government or advise the government in a proper channel. And also I urge the government not to speak evil against the church. No.
Yeah. Oh, have we lost my dear brother Victor from Kasempa? Oh, the network is failing us. But he clearly made his point. Victor, you can call back, but I think we got your point. Let me just put this phone I didn't realize it's flat. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Victor. Victor says the church should be neutral. I run the franchise, this studio, so you should excuse me. I might be doing a million things, but we are on now. Call on 0974 808 115 and 077 3783 785. We've established that the management letter from the Auditor General's office is not fake, it is authentic. Yes, it's an interim management letter, and it raised over 80 issues, and the matters raised are serious, where the Director General of the SEC went to Ivory Coast and for a full funded trip, and yet he got money and he has never refunded. He bought 2 phones when he's entitled to 1. He bought 2 iPhones. They went to Kabwe with the board, and again, there were allowances that were not used properly. Then there's a big issue of the 65 million kwacha, where by March, there was no evidence that this money was deposited in the SEC account and then transferred to Bank of Zambia. There was no evidence. So the Auditor General's office even advised that this matter must be treated quickly so that there is no embarrassment when it becomes public. So it's a serious matter. We can't wish it away because Honorable Msokotwane says, but we paid the students. No, we can't. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, Ambassador Mamba.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Oh, this is Howard. I'm calling you from within Lusaka.
Howard from Lusaka. Make your contribution, my brother.
I think for me to start with, African governments, especially even just our government in particular.
Yeah.
For me, one thing I found to be a challenge and a problem, and why our governments have been a flop, it's because you hide information that is supposed to be public.
Yeah.
In the public domain. And this has always been an issue, especially in our country. So, some of this information, if government can just publicize information to the public, we are not going to have these issues. But because the information that is brought to the public is not sufficient,
yeah,
it's part of it is hidden, part of it is not straight. So this is the number one reason why African governments, in my view, have been a flop.
Yeah.
And coming to the comments of Batuka Imenda over the Catholic, you know, for me, I've stopped taking the UPND government serious.
Yeah.
I no longer take them serious. Let others take them serious. For me, I don't take them serious.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for me, I think they're just, because, you know, at the end of the day, if you are a leader and you come out like that, you're in the government. Yes, the church is an independent body and they have to be neutral, but you are the government leaders. In other words, you're the fathers of the nation.
Yes.
And if you come out like that in that manner, what example are you giving?
Yes, yes.
That arrogance. Are you going to be there forever? And you know, these seats and positions that you people sit on, they are temporal. They're just like the vapor. The soon and soon you'll be gone. And you'll be no more. So it's lead by example, be exemplary. Even when you want to respond, I know. Yeah, I'm not defending the Catholic. I know maybe Father Salangeta, maybe didn't the way he came out didn't sit well with those guys, but the way he came out was so brutal, so arrogant. There's no leadership in him. Batuke is not a leader. And I don't know why the president still keeps him in that position, because for me, I don't see any leadership in that. So, Nshaba Imozi Kaola Nizonse, that's why I've said I don't take the UPND government serious. They're a joker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my dear brother from Lusaka. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you very much. Am I live?
Yes, you are, please. Who's calling?
Thank you very much. This is General Mark. I'm calling you from Lusaka, Zambia.
General Mark from Lusaka. My brother, how are you? Make your contribution.
Thank you very much, my brother. Please continue exposing this thing.
Thank you.
God tells us to expose sin whenever we see effort must be commended all the time. I am very concerned about this president. I'm deeply concerned and because he appears to be becoming heavy-handed on whistleblowers. He seems to be wanting to crush whistleblowers instead of prosecuting their criminal activity. It's worrying indeed. It's a major source of concern. That why is it so punitive on people who are blowing the trumpet? Instead of leaving the relevant authorities to investigate all these things. It's not a question of leaking the paper, the audit report. It's a question of the content of that audit report. And it's very shocking how a man of great integrity would decide to jeopardize his credibility in the manner Musa Mwenye has done it by offering himself to offer a cover-up for press conference. What we are saying, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, is that we were told that the the free education is going to be funded from money coming from subsidies. The removal of subsidies, not the money that is gotten from Faith Musonda. That was not the agreement. So, you see, we shouldn't be cheated in this fashion. The money meant for bursaries and everything is coming from subsidies. That is what President Church was telling us when he was in the opposition, and even now when he's so who made that they get that money to the balance to the bursaries? Yeah. So this money must be prosecuted, and what we need to see is check. We need to see a check. So this money, because you can't trust anything that this government is doing. I get you what I'm saying. There is absolutely nothing you can trust from this government. This is government of liars. This is what lied to the people of this country. They require the government through deceit, and they want to sustain it through the people of this country. So we need nothing less than a check itself, explaining a check itself where that money went. And this issue where, and you must caution leadership to say, please, it is not in the province of the president to be protecting alleged plunderers, alleged looters. It is not his job. Why is he protecting them so much as if he is also benefiting Ambassador Manoma? Because look, the finance minister was exposed and the Charles Group was exposed. He was the first one. You say, go and show that person. Why is the president appearing as if he's a beneficiary of this grand, this personic routing of our national resources and plundering the nation?
Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you, General Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Ministry of Finance issued the following statement. Let me just read a few paragraphs of it. Let me just read it. It's not opening properly. So they said, update on the 65 million forfeited by Faith Musonda. They said in 2022, the anti-corruption on behalf of the government of the Republic of Zambia opened 2 bank accounts through which forfeited assets will be deposited. One account for deposits in Zambian kwacha and the other one in the US dollar. And then he says the handover ceremony of 65,332,446 million and $57,000 forfeited from Ms. Faith Musonda to the Anti-Corruption Commission. A ceremony was held on 23rd February 2022, and at the event, the SEC, through the acting director general at the time, Mr. Ivo Mukwankwa, handed over a symbolic check to the Minister of Finance, National Planning over the funds through a dummy check to the Minister of General Education, Honorable Douglas Siakalima. And he cited the people that were present. In this statement, the SEC, the minister did not provide any evidence that this money was deposited in the SEC account, then transferred to control account. But he said the following, although without providing evidence. This is what he said. On the basis of mandate vested in it by the Public Financial Management Act of number 1 of 2018 and the Forfeiture of Proceeds Crime Act of 2010, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning issued an instruction to the Anti-Corruption Commission on 25th February. Remember, these funds were seized in November 2022, in which the SEC was requested to transfer the funds to the consolidated account called Control 99 at the Bank of Zambia. The deposit and the United States dollars. The Anti-Corruption Commission, according to the minister, transferred these funds on 3rd March 2022. And the funds were subsequently given to the Higher Education Loans and Scholarship Board, HELSB, through the Ministry of Education in equal amounts between March 2022 and December 2022. So Ministry of Finance then proceeded to fund over a period of almost 10 months to the Higher Education and Loans and Scholarship Board between March 2022 and December 2022. So he said, we are pleased to state that the combined treasury funds, a total of 90 million kwacha, was given to the Higher Education Loans and Scholarship Board in 2022, in which 2,780 students, 2,780 students were awarded scholarship. The Ministry of National Planning will continue to do open door policy with public engagement. He provided no evidence. He cited the date of 3rd March when he gave instructions to the SEC to transfer these funds. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. My name is Gautama Nyerere. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Mr. Gautama Nyerere, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Mr. President?
Very well, thank you. Kindly make your contributions.
Yes. My concern is, I think it's rather clear that with regards to this 65 million kwacha scandal, ACC, that something is amiss. That is without question. And I think when you look at the phone calls and the opinions that have been put across, we can see that something is wrong. And when we also see the anxiousness in which there's been put back by the government, as far as you can clearly see that something is amiss. What is my major concern is on the part of civil society and their ominous silence. You know, Mr. President, you cannot be the only one who is standing for our rights, who is identifying these scandals, who is going out of the way to highlight these things. I mean, the level of scandals, the level of misappropriation and questionable governance since this government has been in power is alarming. And yet, the civil society is strangely silent, strangely very, very silent, not as active and not as vocal as they were in the previous government. You can imagine, I won't mention names, but you can imagine how much furore there would be if this type of scandal was there in the previous government, how much press they would have, how much these NGOs would be on top of the mountain talking. And yet these days, it's just you, really. It's you and one or two people. And if we get to the stage where now they're beginning to silence the Catholic Church and others who are as brave as you are, Mr. President, where does that leave our democracy? Where does that leave the people of Zambia?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, my comments today.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Nyerere is very clear. Where is civil society? Where are the other critical voices? Why can't we give the same pressure that was given to the Patriotic Front? I think the honeymoon is over for the for the UPND. Eugene, my dear brother, good evening.
Yes, good evening, thank you.
Today, Eugene, I promise I will not disturb you, I will not engage in any discussion. Say your thoughts.
Yeah, just a few things. The evidence that we're asking to say they need to show us a deposit slip. My understanding is that we're talking about government. We can't ask that question because if the Auditor General demands for proof, yes, they can be given proof, but not to the public because we're talking about government. They can't show us a deposit slip to say, no, this is the money, this is a deposit slip. Because even if they show us a deposit slip, we'll still come up with another story to say, no, this, no that. So to reduce on that, it's not right for government to show the public to say this is a deposit slip. No. That's not how government should do things. There has to be confidentiality. Because, I mean, there are so many things that we don't know. Of course, they showed us. One proof we know is that at some point, students were complaining to say, no, you left out on bursaries. We just given a few people. Then government decided, they even held some ceremonial to say, no, we are handing over this money. This money will be used for students. And the chapter is closed. There are so many things that we don't know about. Even that budget which is presented in Parliament, do they show us any proof to say, oh, this is the money we collected, this is what we used it for, or even the CDF money? We just know that no, money is given. Even those people that are presented, they are given checks. There's no proof to say. The only proof we can have is a beneficiary coming up to say, no, government paid for me. Yeah, that would be enough proof, not the detailed one, where now a deposit slip should be shown to the public. No. We are exposing government.
No, I promise you, Jean, that I will not disturb you, so I let you speak.
Yes, yes. Then what did I want? Let me not forget what I wanted to say. Then
on the church, are you going to comment about the church?
On the church, me what I know on the church, if we put two things, the president and the priest. The president is more important. Both are important, but the president is more important than the priest. Why? Because we the people, we vote for the president. We don't vote for the priest. The priest, he just tells us to say, no, God has called me. He goes to the seminary, they go to, then they train themselves, then they start serving. But for the president, we the people stand to say, no, this is the person who is going to be a president. So which means everyone should respect that person. Even the priest should respect that president. So it's a bit unfair for the church of which we know to say, if you want good morals, it's the church. So if the church can be coming out like that to talking about the president, because the only issue that the president had, like for me, is that he made the comment in the presence of Israel, which is not right, because he's not supposed to do that. He can't say Mule Beba. What are you saying? So even when the bishop came in to say a liar, calling the president a liar, he had to take it a bit further. That's why even the SG had to react. So this is something that the church should learn to say, whenever they have issues, yes, they may have valid points, but the way they handle issues, it shouldn't make them to be at a level like in Kaponya to Kaponya. No. They have to handle issues in a better way, because I mean the Catholic Church have shown us to say each time they want to communicate to the government, they will do a pastoral letter. Why? Because they don't want issues to be like they want everyone amongst the bishop to speak one language whenever they are talking to the president. Not this one stands, because at the end of the day, you can't tell me to say all those 11 bishops they are all for the opposition or for the government. Which it shouldn't be. But when they write a letter, everyone has signed, they present it to the government. Then the government should be able to speak. There has to be that a form way of doing things, unlike the way things are done outside.
Thank you, Eugene.
The church should give us as an example. In conclusion, so the way it was handled, okay, both sides, even how HH responded, it wasn't right. How the bishop did, it wasn't right. So at the end of the day, all the camps should be able to learn something to say, going forward, let's not do things in this way. We need to do things in a way that others will be able to learn from, not to act like you are also a political party, which shouldn't be the case, because I mean, the bishop is in charge of different people. It's not like people in his church, they belong to one political party. No. They belong to different political parties.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening. How are you, Ambassador?
Very well, thank you.
I'm Oscar calling you from Choma.
Yes, my dear brother Oscar from Choma. Make your contribution, sir.
Okay, I will start with the church.
Yeah.
As Eugene stated, actually. This is just my view. I feel like the Catholics are not happy with the leadership of President HH because he's an SDA. And if you look at those priests who have been literally commenting on anything the president says, are those priests who are aligned to PF. So they seem to be fighting for supremacy. They are not happy that the current president is from another arrangement which is called the SDA. So these are my views.
Okay, thank you very much, Oscar. Thank you very much.
Then on the letter by the Minister of Finance, I think they have clarified the issues. Let us not be doubting Thomas's, like the way Thomas did when Jesus rose, to say, I have to literally let me see whether it's you, Jesus. Those who want to really prove like the journalists, they can go, even you, Ambassador Mahamba. I'm sure if you went to the government and asked for information, they would provide it to you. Than this speculation that we are making.
Thank you, Oscar.
Raising dust from nothing.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you. Let me take this call. Sorry, Oscar, we have to take another call. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Is that my brother Regan from Nairobi?
Yes.
Make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. I want to talk about the church. I think I don't have much to say.
Yeah.
I was just watching a clip of the current president. By then he was in opposition. When he was praising the church on the issue they used to raise when the PF was in power. You know, they were raising the issues, and I was watching how he was saying, no, our priests, our bishops don't get scared, you have to talk and all that. So I just want to know, what has changed now that they have spoken against him? Why is he not praising them now? But he was praising them. I think for me, sometimes we need to play a fair game, because when they were talking about PF, I'm just from watching, even now I have a clip here, when he was giving a conference and talking about praising the bishops, praising the same priests today, whom they are saying they are PF. Because I hear people, they are saying, no, the priests, they are PF, the bishops, they are the cadres. But it's the same way church I'm from watching just right now. He was praising the Catholic Church. And he did not do it once or twice. In several occasions, once the bishops or the priests speak against what the PF were doing, he was praising them. So, did he know that even if he comes in power, they will speak against him when he does something wrong? I think he didn't know that. So for me, it's just the awareness and people to understand where we have come from. If we look in the history, is it the first time that the church is speaking? Is it the first time they have seen a priest speaking? Is it the first time they are hearing a bishop speaking? I think we need to consider that. And coming to the importance, who is importance between the priest and the bishop, or the church and the government, I think for me, when we talk of humanity in one umbrella, we are all important. And we all coexistence. We influence each other in order to work. It's not that because I'm a brother, so the one in politics cannot talk about what I do. No. If I do something wrong, the person who is in government has the right to tell me, to say, no, I think, brother, what you did was wrong. And if it requires the law to take its course, the law will do that. It's as simple as 1 + 1. So for me, there is no one important. We are just trying to coexist, to influence each other, because that's the call that we are called, all of us, whether president, minister, bishop, we all work for people. So if I see a minister or a president doing something, I have to say it. If a minister sees a priest or a bishop doing something which is contrary to the law or to the church, they have that freedom to speak, and they do speak. So I think for me, we need to play a fair game. We have seen governments have come and governments have gone, the church is still there. So for me, there is no one who is important, and there is no one who is not important. What is important is the respect we have for each other, the mutual understanding, and to know where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Regan.
Because we are the church, that one will be a problem. So I think for me, that's all I have to contribute.
Thank you, Brother Regan from Nairobi. Our dear brother is a regular contributor to this program, and we appreciate him. I want to answer my dear brother Oscar from Choma. He says the Catholic are attacking the president because he's not from, he's from the SDA. No, you are wrong, my brother there. Let me put it very clear. Among all the 7 presidents we've had, we've only had one Catholic president, that is President Michael Sata. Even him was heavily criticized by the church. I just needed to make that very clear. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Banda calling you from Chingola.
Banda from Chingola. Kindly make your contribution, my brother.
Thank you so much. These issues, Ambassador, reminds me of one preacher who said, if the ambassador someone was selling fritters by the roadside and asked you to remain there to help or look after those fritters, then when he comes back, he says, it simply means if he was in your shoes, he would have done that. This is what is happening today, Ambassador. When this government was in opposition, they told us a lot of things which they blamed the PF, which was not the case. But that's what they are doing, which is wrong. Coming back to the church shall always be there. And the church deals with people, social issues that affect people. Week in, 4 times in a week, every weekend, they understand the nature and how people are suffering. So it is important for them to speak for the people. Let's not condemn them. By the way, they're giving them information, bringing information from the ground to them. What they need to do is to get that information and work on that. I give kudos to Edgar Lungu. He used to tell them, tell us, you priests, you have to tell us where we go wrong. Tell us and pray for us. That's a good leadership. That is good leadership. Let's not just condemn like we were condemning in opposition. A leader listens. Let's put an ear to the people. Then we work on those things. Thereafter, we'll see development towards that. There's no way the huge president can go in public and condemn a priest like that. No, we don't do that. Bring them close. Understand their views. Then we'll move on as a nation, not like that. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. We'll play the 2 videos. Just remind ourselves, one by President Hakainde Hichilema in opposition, and the other one from Mansa by Father Patrick Kawaso, who's defending the church. The numbers to call us is 0974 808 and 077 3783 785 when we come back from the other side.
Wonderful statement that the Catholics issued. And thank you, my colleague, for covering the misdemeanor of those 2 ministers, for disowning the credible Catholic Church, who have always been there to save us. In 1990, they were there to save the country from total collapse. The Catholics have been there until and we want to encourage the bishops and the Catholic flock not to be intimidated by a small group of people that are exiting government in a few months from now. They should not be intimidated. Be strong. Many of us respect your leadership in this country. Other church mother bodies, so ZCCB, who are others? CCZ, EFZ, they've all said no. Clear. Those are the people. They carry more people than any single political party. That's a fact.
Tungurushisha Ecclesia vale shito kuti shetani mwali umfwago tefyo emkwai Archbishop wakulusaka Banda bamwitire okutila Lucifer kuchironganino ichireteka. Lucifer ni shetani ulio waponene kumulu eo baitako shikofu weso kuti ni shetani. Nelilyashi lyafuma fya panono pamulando wakulanda pamagrafu elio nolutoshi epafuma umusalula wine shirifye inendeti mweba politician na imwe mweba konkama politics yachimperesha mufwili okwishiwa okuti Ecclesia ashimpwa na Kristo umwine nangu mwela wise tete achitashani Kanshi eklezia alilimbwa takatali aterententa mukatukana apo mulefu aira nensere shenu shikapuana mukanwa kenu kabiri mukabwegesha apo na kabiri ukutukana shimo shine na sho shikapua mukutuka eklezia ichisheleko na mateya kama neshuwi likaya ilya kutukanina kwensele eklezia telelo atampo okutukwa kutina mwebukishako mweba kulilya kale ntamba lukuta mankangala munshifukatilwa kaunda tachindike bakatolika aleti bakatolika nga napita mulino kwendela pesa pali kolona twaliendelapo lesa mufulula naletusha muchibote na mukulekelesha kukanwa kakwe twakwate nchitwe ikalambanga nshi muri ba MMD government muri ba shukuru ba rupia banda umo eklezia asangwike na kabiri ichilwani chaba MMD finshi fya chiteke lesa asuka fyonse fyo abantu bakwe balelomba barupia banda bapona balira nechiramba mwalemona mwebalemonako bapona ubutungulushi bwafumapo nabwo eklezia alesho kulanda apakalamba nomba bwena kateka wabo alikweteka omuchinshi lungu tale angalira kuli eklezia tale tukana ababale mukonka ebale fwayo kulasa muna utunwa kwa tifimbasa nomba nabo bafilwa mpaka fyelesa abakuntama bupanshi abapela ola munsogoso monse na mumagufi monse na mutu boyo monse na munsekete kumo abapela ili na kabiri twamona okuposhiwa kumusalulo ushabatishiwa nganji uwa kutuka church imwe ili omwansalula ukulekanya ubupatiri nechilonganyo cha eklezia chila shupa ili omulesalula ine ni eklezia wakwaleso mulechitashani mulesalula ni Kristu umwine eo mulesalula pano pamwesunda konkomesho uti ifi tulanda ni mwetulandila kono kulandila tailo vino abekala nensala ni bani ina kuti nafuma vye pano pene na mkutandala bufi pali bana mpanza ushende bwela pofye mwebo muyetandala pakubala mulepulila panse yondi no mulimo ndepeta mataba pakutila bamusungilishe mulele ine ni munganda bwino bandange nechipune chabatishiwe echo ndikalepo tapapita akashita kukichi niko alafu mobwe abatishiwa.
So you can call us on 0974 808 115 or 973 04 5292. Our usual old number 0973 04 5292 and the new one 077 37 83 785. Make your contributions. We are discussing the missing 65 million kwacha. The auditor, as at March 2023, said these funds were unaccounted for, they were not made available, and that they were not deposited. The Minister of Finance said he issued instructions on 3rd March, and he says these funds were deposited. But clearly, the auditor didn't see proof of this money. And there are many other documents that the auditor requested for. They were also not given on this particular matter. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, President Mwamba.
Good evening. Wanakangwa Wanshan Mayo. Very good. Good to hear from you. We love women when they phone.
Thank you very much.
Make your contribution, ma'am.
I joined in the program about 15, 20 minutes ago, so I heard just a few comments from people.
Yeah.
First of all, I heard the caller called Oscar and his poor analysis. I would like to call it poor and pathetic. Mr. Oscar sounds like a praise singer, and he needs to go back to school and reread history.
My Wanakangwa, I guide on this program. I would like you to make your contributions. Forget the contribution made by others.
Fine.
Make your point.
My contribution,
Yes.
and just a reminder, is that there has only been one Catholic president in this entire country.
Yeah.
And then for somebody to analyze that President HH is not liked because it's SDA. SDA is equally a Christian organization. And the voice of the people come from God. So because SDA is a Christian organization, if they do not speak the way the Catholics speak, maybe they have reasons not to speak, you know. But in the last analysis, I said the Catholics live among the people, you know. So it is okay. When in opposition, the Catholics were credible and they criticized without pastoral letters, okay? But now they are uncredible because they are criticizing without pastoral letters. We have all seen your clips. I would also like to say the Catholics have always spoken in their offices, and their offices are the pulpit, the pulpit. That is where their office is. They speak to the people. I know a lot of people, there are some people who are not, they all have their own political party, you know, but the Catholics speak as they see things happening. Now, coming to the 65 million that has just disappeared, a check was given on the 23rd of February last year. We all heard that this benefited the education sector. But when are we going to get a statement from this new Dawn government as to what has happened exactly to the money? We were actually very happy that at least that money went for a good cause. But what is coming out now is alarming. And the relevant ministries need to make a statement and be honest to the Zambian people, because the Zambian people voted for UPND. They trusted them. They believed in them. And they should not be disappointed because of what is happening today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wanakangwa. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Lungu Jacob.
Lungu Jacob. Make your contribution, yes. Mr. Jacob.
Yes, I'm calling you from Mondola.
From Mondola, wonderful. Make your contribution, Mr. Lungu.
Yes, please. I just wanted to wade in a little bit on the Catholic priests and the remarks that have been going around.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, my take is that the Catholic priest was speaking in the Catholic Church, and is a Catholic priest. And as such, therefore, his audience is Catholic. So henceforth, he was speaking to fellow Catholics. Anyone that was not Catholic, or anyone that was passing by and heard what the Catholic priest was speaking to Catholics, is collateral damage. It's an issue of, say, a home where a father is speaking to the children. Any neighbor or anyone that has come to visit, it's not their message. It was a message for the Catholics. So anybody else, that was just a pure collateral damage. If I could just wade in on the remarks that the president equally made, I think the president and the UPN as an organization, the president should be the last person to set the tone. In other words, he should be the last person to speak, because if he sets like the way he said it in retaliating to what the priest had said, then everyone below will follow suit. At the end of the whole equation, there will be no one in the organization to do damage control. The president should actually come in at the end of the whole conversation or at the end of the whole argument and settle everything down. And then the country and the people, we move on. Coming to the issue of the missing monies at the ACC and what the Honorable Minister Stumbeko Sokotwane said, I think our leaders should desist from handling public monies or government monies like in the Robin Hood kind of concept, because this is not a situation where an audit report is a ceremony. No, it's not a ceremony, it's a report. Yeah. So we're having a superficial kind of a presentation, but yet behind the curtains something else happened. That's my humble contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lungu from Mundola. We're grateful. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Endita Yaman Mwebani. Elias from where?
John Leng.
Elias from John Leng. Make your contribution, my brother. Landenipo.
Contribution yandi honorable ya pali ba father boba tibaba pamya skile ya ngatwa ingira ko muchebo panono Bible inaitwe bati nkambiro kukandaba munganda mumyandi no chabako akambiro kukanda testaba munganda mumyako meaning muchechi mwine mwaka abantu aba mulya bantu abako bati balumva ko echebolero fibale staff opposite abasambi bamwe bali kwisha Yesu Kristo okumwe bati nomba tukeshi bashanya cyaba ebaka pepa bachi aishire mukanda timukabe shibira kufisa bofya cyo bakula twala cyaba benake then futi Paulo nangu aishire ndati uyo wose ukesa mkumyebe chebo itishiri kuri iki chebo ndemwe bare oro wapali vayo ari sai kwa peno ko yake semira chi wao kibuka mumwa oro ni malaika wa kumuru wake ukwisa myebe chebo niko ne kibuka mukaya so ko bare to bena Kristo these days why she is bringing up the china why cho right ba Roman Catholic kale ba mbokutulani but as at now noko turea kuntanji bafuire nombo kwambo kunchenchen takushama platforms zinchitwarambo kubokya ifya para muri nshira barani baba
yes
ozimu mtu kilinifye yakoba chauka pa kutwamo peno kumona fyoro shia fyo kuli konze ya firamo na chao kapa bafada bali kenae oro basirisho ke kena bali rufyani.
Thank you, Elias. Thank you very much, Elias from Lusaka, from John Leng.
Then you could 65. 65 million. National for Parliament, by minister. But Tuesday next week.
Okay.
So meaning
thank you very much, Elias. Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Amanda Mwagonden.
Kwaimayo, ni mwebani?
Anonymous.
Anonymous. Okay, Kwai Anonymous. Kindly make your contributions, my sister.
Kwai. And therefore, plan the party I'm a church.
Kwai.
Now, last time I think I called him and the way that they present the priest Bakuchawama.
Oh, I remember your concerns was that the message was right, yes, but the presentation, you didn't feel that it was right. I remember your views.
Yeah. So there is the
Your Father Patrick Kabaso from Mansa. I am of the parish somewhere, but it's from Mansa Diocese.
Yeah, namumana the way when namumana tone of the voice, and just you were just gentle, but the message was for everybody. We know, just the flow. We know. That one was okay, but in the Malolesha, on the other side, that caused the attack. I think that's airing that the other camp were full. Those kind of causing practically. But I have never liked it. We know. Now, messaging about movie, but it's what we know. Genuinely, it's okay. No, Baba, then I want to buy any more from them. I can say this. No, that's like that. So, under the difference, go at night, Sana.
Okay, Mayo. Natasha, thank you, Anonymous. Thank you.
Okay, fine.
Today we are discussing the audit report. We've had the audit report discussion. We started on Monday. We've affirmed that the interim management letter is genuine. It's an interim management letter. An audit done on the SEC between January and March 2023. And it was established by the audit that the funds were not accounted for. In fact, the auditor was very clear. He said, let me just read quickly. The written, first he demanded for the written disclosure by the accused of all material facts to the minutes of the negotiations. That is what is required by the law. And a written declaration by the SEC that they will not institute criminal investigations, and that these documents were not presented to the SEC, and that the funds received on 5th and 9th November, which was 65 million and 1,057,000, were not deposited in the control account 99, and their whereabouts to date remain unknown. And the auditor advised that these missing funds must be found. And then we are discussing must be found and deposited before it became a matter of public attention. He was advising management. Then the issue of the church, the matter has not gone away. Let's continue to discuss. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, this is Anderson Lungu calling from Minu Ndeke.
Yes, my dear brother, Mr. Lungu from Kitwe.
No, Minu Dundeke.
Oh, Minu Lusaka Ndeke. Yes, Mr. Anderson. Kindly make
How
a
are
contribution.
you, Your Excellence?
I'm very well, my dear brother. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You know, it's very confusing because people had much hope that the new dawn would deliver according to its promises. But you know, responding to issues anyhow, like the way someone wants to respond, will not help to unite this country, will not help to solve the issues that are pending. One, making a comment on the Roman Catholic, which the president had issued. You know, the Catholic or the church has been speaking. It's not the first time that they're making statements. There was a video that I saw the other time. Bishop Imakando was talking in church, you know, telling the church to say things are bad and there is need of change. And I think then we had a few months before the pause. We never saw the sitting president then reacting. We never saw confronting the man of God to say, why can you say this? Worse enough that elections were just around the corner. Now, for the president to issue a statement whenever a clergy speaks, it's not health for the country. It's not health because you can't expect all people to be by your side. Of course, some will criticize you, some will support you. Both the ones who criticize and the ones who support you, they build you. You cannot be built by just one set up group of people who are just praising you, who are speaking well of you. At some time you need to hear the other side, of course, which will not be good for you. But what you need to do as a leader, you need to swallow that and think about it, whether it's right or it's not. I'm sure the priest wouldn't come on the pulpit just to come and issue a statement against the president. There is a meaning. I've been there, which is very true. They've been there, but the issue now is that what is affecting the people? If you cannot even manage to eat 3 meals in a day, this time it's not even 3 meals. People are struggling to eat 1 meal a day. And we call that as something that, you know, the graph may be there, but people need to eat. People need to survive. In the midst of the graph, you cannot run the country like you're running your own business. Like, no, I'll sacrifice today, I'll not eat what I want to eat, I'll do ABCD, so that maybe 2 years from now, few months from now, I'll pick up. You cannot do that. You cannot subject people to so much pain, expecting for them to survive next year. What if they die today? What if they do not make it to tomorrow? So that is where the priest was talking about. He was not criticizing the president in a political manner. He was telling the priest to say, the president, things are bad here. When you go to Jack compound, you go to Matero, you go to Mandevu, you explain the graphs. Very few understand you. What they understand is that I'm going to buy tomato, and how much am I going to have for me to manage to buy tomato? That's the issue. You may have graph or whatever that you can teach or educate, whatever. You know, it will not help the people out there. So it is very unfortunate that the president went that way. Then coming to the last issue, the 65 million. You know, recently the vice president from America came with a lot of money to fight corruption. And a few months later, we hear that this money has grown wings. We don't know where it is. You know, and the people are hearing us. Our leaders, they are singing of fighting corruption. Then what corruption are we fighting? What corruption are we fighting if we cannot, you know, these are the things which are affecting us.
Yeah.
We at the end of the day, we are going to have a situation whereby people will start saying in Zambia it's just persecution, which is happening. Because you cannot have a situation where a huge sum of money was collected from someone, and after a few months, you know, some people are failing to explain where the money has gone. This one is saying ABCD, this one. I mean, where are we going? We're not making progress. So when we say that the UPND is not doing fine, someone will come and say, no, you are bitter just because you are a PF. And you know, some of us, we were neither UPND, we were neither PF, but we voted. Whoever we voted, we know better. But if we are being affected now, we voice out, someone will say, no, this one was PF even from the beginning, this one was whatever from the beginning, which is not good. What we need to do is that the government should explain to us. And we trust them to say they'll do a good job. But what we are seeing now, someone will come and say, even in PF, we were much better than now. Because then, at least, we were able to eat, we were able to do whatever that we were doing. Today, people have no power to spend. And you cannot have, you cannot stabilize the country's economy when people have no power to spend. You cannot go anywhere because of what is happening. So it is very unfortunate that these things are happening in the hands of the government, which promised so much to the people to say, we are going to make things right. But time is coming when they see that what we are saying now is good for them.
Thank you, Anderson from Minwood. Thank you very much for your contributions. You can call us on 0974 808 or 7737 83785 and 0973 045292. We'll play the Father Patrick Kawaso from Mansa. When we come on the other side, we'll take the last 30 minutes for calls and then proceed to close the program. Let's listen to Father Kawaso.
Tungulu shisha ecclesia wale shito guti shetani mwali umfwago tefyo emkwaye Archbishop wa kulusaka banda bamwitile okutila Lucifer kuchilonganino ichileteka. Lucifer ni shetani ulio waponene kumulu eo baitako shikofu weso kuti ni shetani. Nelilyashi lyafuma fya panono pamulando wakulanda pamagrafu elio nolutoshi epafuma umusalula wina wina shilifye inendeti mweba politician na imwe mweba konkama politics yachimpelesha mufwili okwishiwa okuti eklesia ashimpwa na Kristo umwine nangu mwela wise tete achitashani kanshi eklesia alilimbwa takatali atelententa mukatukana apo mulefu aira nenseleshenu shikapuana mukamwa.
Thank you very much. You've heard to that video. I had to fade it out quickly because the calls are buzzing. My dear brother, good evening. Please identify yourself and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, this is Mlonga going from Kabwe.
Yes, Mr. Mlonga from Kabwe. Kindly make your contributions.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the issue of the Catholic Church and the priest. First of all, the Catholic Church has a canon law, which is the Constitution, the Catholic Constitution. So now the Catholic Constitution contains regulations, laws, which guides the Christians, which includes even the priests, what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. Okay, so even for priests, it's clear. There are things which they are supposed to say and not say, and pastoral issues. So now, as a Catholic Christian, I think I'm a bit worried because this issue started at the parish level. It moved from parish to a national level. Now it seems it will even attract an international attention. And that means Rome now also will be aware of the same issue. Okay, and there they have canon lawyers, they have philosophers, they have theologians, so they might look at that issue. And what worries me is that our beloved former president was there when that homily was said. So all those issues will be put into consideration. So now we might put our priests, those who are involved, in a very awkward situation. So for me, my appeal is that can we stop this issue? Because as we might know, this one has done wrong, or the response of the politicians. But for me, I'm very, very worried, and I want to protect my priests. So my appeal is that is it possible to put to rest the whole of this issue? Because if it reaches Rome, the response might not even favor the people we are protecting.
Do you think the priest said or did something wrong?
No, I'm not saying they did something wrong. Rome might decide, because I'm not a canon lawyer, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a philosopher.
But in your understanding, do you think there's something wrong that was done by these members of the church?
No, that one I can't say, but what I advise you people or everyone else is let's just put aside this issue, the whole debate. Otherwise it might, I'm telling you from my experience, because there's canon law.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church is not participante, and there are procedures of engaging governments.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mulonga. We've gotten your view.
Yes. That's why we have a collective voice. Because if you say the church, what do you mean by the church? The Catholic Church has got a definition of the church.
Yeah.
And the ministers of the church, we have ordained ministers and we have lay ministers, lay people. Okay, so that's the composition of the Catholic Church and every Christian. Okay, so the engagement of the Catholic Church is through our bishops, the collective voice of the Catholic Church through the pastoral letters or the delegates, which are, yes.
No, thank
so
you
there are
very
those
much.
procedures which we have to put into consideration, and let's protect our priests by avoiding making this issue an international issue.
Okay, I think your point is clear.
Because we also...
Thank you. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Oh, this is Mr. Mwinga. I'm calling from Kalomo.
Mr.
Mwinga.
Oh, Mr. Mwinga from Kalomo. My dear brother, how are you?
I'm fine, Honorable. How are you? Yes, sir.
Yeah, please make your contribution.
Yeah, me usually, I'm an ardent follower. And me usually when I call is just wanting clarity.
Okay, sir.
Yes, so now I can see that there is the 5 million again today. Do you know something that we don't? Because I heard like the government is trying to explain something, then also we are hearing also your side. Could it be that there is something that you know, which we don't know, so that maybe you can explain to us why this is continuing to be like the way it is now? Yes. Then secondly, I'm a bit worried. I tried to look at it with the utmost fairness. The statement that the president made, like the explanation of the graphs, and also is it priest the Serengeta, the way he responded, and also the way the president responded, I don't know. But to me, I feel maybe when the president gave his press conference there with the graphs, and then the priest Serengeta came out to say, I think they have a partner Panama graph or something like that. And then the president also there, he spoke. I think I picked on the president, I picked 2 things. There was the time when he was saying you're a joker, you can't run a country without numbers. And then that was the first part of his presentation, his response. And then towards the end, after that one, then at the end he said, I was at my farm and I heard one clergy saying this and this and that. Now it's like people, there is a mix up there. Did the president say that to the joker, meaning the priest, or he said the priest at the end after he has said all the jokings and everything else? That's what I picked out myself. It's like there is a lot of misunderstanding here. And could it be, if there is anyone listening, my honest appeal, amongst the priests, the pastors, isn't there anyone around that can call the 2 parties and to sit them together, have this matter resolved? And like the way it is escalating, it is worrying all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Mwinga from Kalomo. I'm grateful. I'll make my remarks after a letter. Thank you very much. We are on the other side. Let me have those phone calls. Mr. Mwinga from Kalomo wants to find out. He says there was a statement from government. But why isn't this matter of 65 million kwacha going to bed? Like I said on Monday, don't believe what government says. I have been a member of government, and it has demonstrated so far. The wording of the auditor is that the money was seized in November, and by the time the auditor was leaving by March, there was no proof that this money was deposited into the SEC account. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, Mr. Wamba.
Oh, Brother Regan from Nairobi.
Yes, Ambassador.
Yes, you are back.
I'm back with few things.
Thank you.
Now, if these people, they think the Catholic Church have spoken yet, I think they have not heard anything yet. That's number one. If they think the priest was wrong and the bishop was wrong, they should wait for more wrong. because the Catholic Church, we have not yet spoken. So if they think we are wrong now, and all this while we have not been wrong, one thing I can assure them is that they have not seen yet anything, and they have not heard anything yet. So, because it seems like today they are blaming the Catholic Church, who even helped their president to come out of prison when he was arrested.
True.
It was the same Catholic Church which was in front, the campaigning the PF by condemning what the PF were doing. They were not wrong by then. So now they are saying, no, the Catholic Church, and they are bringing all these, I don't know where they are getting this philosophy or theology, but one thing I can assure them is that they have not heard anything yet. And they have not seen anything yet. When they see something and when they heard something, then they will understand what a Catholic Church means.
Thank you, Brother
now they are
Regan.
taking things for granted.
They haven't even seen the church yet.
We are not yet. We are still coming. They just have to relax. They just have to relax.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like these people who are even trying to defend the government, they are just making things worse. There is nothing to defend the government here.
Yeah, yeah.
What is wrong there? What is the problem there? The person did not insult. The person did not use any vulgar language. And when you look at Father Sarangeta, that's the way he is. Even when he's talking, that's the way he talks. It's not that he was trying to exaggerate or to make the president feel bad, but that's the way Father Sarangeta is. So if they think Father Sarangeta was wrong and the bishop was wrong, what I can tell them is that they should relax. They have not seen anything yet, and they have not heard anything yet. The same way Rupia Band cried, that's the same one other person will cry. So
thank you, Brother Regan from Nairobi. Thank you so much.
They will cry, they should wait.
Thank you. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening.
Huh?
Good evening. Muri kutalina phone katuishi mulifeni sana.
I think in the mupepi.
Okay, landeni number.
Nati Joseph kwa mandevu tamlampera number yenu wa mwamba.
Joseph, I didn't send the number.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. I'll send. Please make your contribution. Let me send you as you are talking.
Okay. I'm a topic that is very important.
Yes.
But you are number 2. Yeah, you are number 2. You are the story is old now. Okay.
Yes.
People development, not every time. If the priest who start issue up in Gramma politics, the politicians want to share them. They are having millennial, and politicians they can say whatever they want. What they will say is what people want to hear. Those get Mulande, then you expect someone you are changing to keep quiet. It doesn't work like that. They will respond, and once they respond like the way they responded for the UN party, you respond according to the way you see. Like the Kambindeo Fato, is it Mansa Bishop, Baba paper like that. Why these clergy or priests, why can't they just stick to the power? Not Valengira like that, prolong our stories after. Let them concentrate over the word of God. They are theologians anyway, I think. Let them continue preaching to the people. The Valengira politics, let them come out and say they have now joined up politics.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much, Joseph and I'll send you my number just now. Joseph from Mandevu. If there are any other calls, let's pick those calls quickly. Let me just send Joseph before I forget my number. Yeah, thank you very much. You can call us on 0974 808 115 or on 07737 83785 or 073 045292. Mr. Mwinga from Kalomo said, is there something I don't know? I know nothing other than what the audit is stating. The audit report, the interim audit report is very damning. It has expressed concern that there is 11.3 million kwacha missing. There's a 1 million kwacha that was given to the Minister of Mines. There is 65 million kwacha that has not been accounted for. Those are my concerns, according to the wording in the Auditor General's report. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mute your device. Mute your device. Mute your device.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Geoffrey Simfukwe from Lusaka.
Yes, Geoffrey Simfukwe from Lusaka.
Yes, I can follow I got at the. You had already talked about when you're already speaking. I think maybe 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
But now, what I'm missing is I don't know whether I can play the clip for the priest. Maybe it can refresh our mind, and then from there I think we can see the tone that he used and also how he talked about it. Then it can help us move forward. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Father Salangeta from Chawama. Let's play that video so that we refresh ourselves. Someone says, I think this arises from what my dear sister stated earlier. She didn't approve of the tone. Here is Father Anton Kapambwe Salangeta.
GDP varerimba namagrafu millennium development goals Zambia uri chisapu chanyi Zambia ari chinga masapu yanga narumba magrafu kwa misisi grafu kwa misisi rutoshika wamanye kwa misisi kuti afi kwa jack rutoshika wamanye uri patembo areni kuisa punch, not no. No. Hata ukwete wali ubunga Mzambia. Tapade fiori, right? So, mulawewa.
Good evening. Good evening. Kindly speak louder. Kindly speak louder. Who's calling? Abraham.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Abraham. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the Copper Belt.
Where on the Copper Belt?
Kitwe.
Kitwe. Wonderful. Kindly make your contribution, Abraham.
You know, the thing that we are failing to understand is that the Catholic Church has always been talking. I would like to talk about the Catholic Church. They've been speaking all the time. And when they were talking those days, it was good for some people because it was favoring them. But today, they don't want the same priests to speak because it's not in their favor, which is wrong. They should let the priests to do what they are doing because they're speaking for us who can't speak. You know, their voices are so loud. When they speak, at least even the president will listen. Because if I was to stand here, I start talking and start telling maybe the president something, he won't even bother to listen to what I'm saying. But when the priests talk, at least he'll be able to say, okay, there's something being said from this side or from this angle. That's why you've seen like everyone is now talking because it's the priest that said it. So we need the priest to keep talking for us. We can't all keep quiet in the country. They should not just want people to be quiet just because they want to be praised. Like everyone they want to be praised by everyone. We can't live in a country like that. We need people to be talking.
because Zambia belongs to each and everyone, whether you are, even if he is a priest, but he has children, he has people that goes to ask for things from him. So he has to speak so that the things that are not good for his people get better. And then maybe they stop bothering him to say, oh, but father, but they should our father. And then when the father speaks, abantu bamukula bashupatyo mwema politics. But imakando we never heard anybody say no, these people are in politics or whatever. No. So they should let people speak. Zambia is a democracy. Each and everyone has the right to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you make your calls? We will be winding up soon. Make your calls. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from Lusaka.
Your name, sir?
I'm Wadia.
Wadia from Lusaka. Make your contribution, Mr. Wadia.
Yes, Mr. President. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Okay. I just want to talk about two things. Number one, the issue of the father and the bishop of Roman Catholic Church. I think the opposition they've taken advantage to display or to ukosho mulilo. You know, I think the father spoke as an individual, and the bishop spoke as an individual. The Catholic Church, they have got the proper way of communicating, communicating to the president, and you know, for President HH to succeed, he need all of us. He need you, Mr. President. He need everyone to be involved. Where the father was wrong, was using, because by Manjo, the father spoke that because there was an entourage of our former president, Mr. ECL, we visited the place. And if the father has some issues, State House is very open for communication. And also, there must be a pastoral letter from the Catholic Church. So I'm praying that you, the president, you are aspiring to be the president of the Republic of Zambia at one time. So for you to succeed, Mr. President Mwamba, you need people. So if there's any way of communicating, I think there must be a proper channel of communicating. So I pray that you, the president, I think find a way of calming the situation, not to preaching division, because the more we talk about this thing, we are dividing we are seeing hatred being built up. We are seeing a Catholic Church being labeled, all kind of things. So I pray that maybe in the next interview, I think let's try to preach harmony so that we, the dust, these things, the press talked about it long time ago. I think there was nothing wrong with what the press said. There was nothing wrong, but he used the long media to communicate. And the second one is, I think opposition PF. I think let's try to, try to be organized so that the check and balance is not about denting the president or calling President HH. If President HH fails, it's all of us who's going to fail. If there are some ideas how you want him to learn the nation, I think you Mr. President, Mr. President Mwamba, you have got access to State House, you have got access to the president. You can communicate to him and that channel that will lay down. But if you are going to continue playing division, I think that you are not helping the man. Look at President Michael Sata or President Manawasa. It didn't succeed alone. There were people brought. I think I remember one time, Mr. Sata used to go to State House and give the guidance, and the president eventually was very clear that if you've got an alternative, please be open. You know, check and balance is not about denting or you have failed, you have done that. I think you're not taking the man. So, Mr. President, one time you've been in that position, you've been in the State House. How are you going to feel? How are you going to succeed? Because no king has ever succeeded alone. Kings need people. And he's part of, and we're all Zambians. President HH is the President of the Republic of Zambia. He needs your advice. He needs your guidance. But if we're going to continue, denting, calling names, then we're not helping, we're killing the nation. So, as you're aspiring to be the president, one day, Mr. Mamba, or President Mamba, you need people. You need people to help you. You need people to guide you. The thing that he can learn from you, the thing that you have been, I think, in the government system for some time, from Mr. Chuluba to, I think you've been there. So you know the system. So I pray that, we don't keep, the time for campaigning has, some time ago has gone. It's a time for us now to work for Zambia. And we are Zambians. So if you've got any alternative, Mr. President, I think I said that was very open.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wale, and your contribution. I will quickly answer you in this fashion as we begin to wind up. One of the noble and civil way in which we are providing checks and balances is exactly here, where we have a formal discussion with you, members of our country, citizens of our country. It's the best way. I lay out my views, I criticize government, and you contribute. Open forum. I think there's no better contribution than this. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Sorry, this is Abraham again. I think I wanted to remind you, sir. I wanted just to request for something.
Yes.
A lot of people that are calling, they are just condemning the press. But I was asking if in any way you have that video which was
done by the one by Bishop Imakando. Please, if you have it, please can you play it so that yes,
or play it.
If you have it, play it so that people see. Because they are just condemning the father. The bishop said it in church. He didn't say it at home. No, he said it in church.
Yeah.
And we all saw it. So to play so that people can see that we don't just have to be condemning others. Then we want to shield others. No.
Thank you very much. I'll play it towards the end as we begin to wind up. Thank you very much. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, this is Brenda speaking, Kafue.
Brenda from Kafue. Kindly make your contribution, Brenda from Kafue.
Yeah, my contribution is that, Mr. President, the way he did the thing, it wasn't right. How can you be using graphs? Actually, the priest from Roman Catholic was totally right what he was telling us. Yeah, because he didn't even say anything wrong. And then those that are talking about the opposition, there is no need for the opposition here. Let us just focus on our country, how we are going to satisfy this country, where we are going, than putting the blame on the opposition party. Opposition has got no problem. Let's just pump knowledge into our president. No need for graphs. What are we going to be using graphs for? Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda from Kafue. Yes, I was answering Mr. Bwadia from Lusaka. President Hakainde was not a good example in opposition. First, he failed to recognize President Michael Sata. He refused to recognize and give legitimacy to President Edgar Lungu. He shot down many policies in parliament, including constitutional amendments. You remember that he voted against the referendum, a document designed to widen our human, economic, and social rights. He campaigned heavily against it in 2016. He didn't attend national events. President Hakainde Hichilema didn't attend national events. So I'm surprised by members of the UPND that think that our checks and balances are adverse. Well, if we're to copy what President Hakainde Hichilema did in opposition the entire 15 years, you will find that he was not positive. He was not giving positive contribution. So it's a bit different that you are asking us to be positive about it. And I think that we've been very positive. We are engaging you. We are allowing you to participate. And like Brenda says from Kafiwe, don't blame us. Let's look at the president. Mr. President, where the 65 million kwacha? Give evidence. Tell Parliament where the 65 million kwacha is. All these mistakes that have been done at the SEC, what are you doing about them? The corruption at Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. President, what are you doing about them? That is the issue we are asking the President. And we come to you to have a national debate. I don't know who will call at the other end, and I welcome all calls. But it's for us to build our country. We are going to end in this fashion. First of all, let me just briefly summarize what we're discussing today. Today, we're discussing the audit report against the SEC. It was conducted between January and March 2023. It has revealed a lot of financial irregularities and the rot that is currently occurring at the Anti-Corruption Commission. Most of it could be historical, but a lot of it occurred in 2022. A letter, which we call an interim management letter, was issued by the Auditor General to ascertain whether funds appropriated to the institution was used properly, whether the funds were applied to the purpose that it were given, and whether the funds were expended in an economic manner conforming with the authority that the Constitution gives and the various laws. However, a lot of irregularities, up to 80 were identified. And there are those that even include the previous Director General, who's now the DPP. And his trip to Ivory Coast was questioned. It was a fully funded trip, but he got the money. The purchase of 2 mobile phones, his trip to Kabwe again, where it was fully paid for by the institution, but they still proceeded to collect what we call per diem. There's even an abrogation of Circular Number 1 of 2020, which talks about institutions, government institutions, and state-owned enterprises, that they should no longer get cash where then you go and pay, because they saw that this was an opportunity for officers to be corrupt. This institution drew 300,000 instead of paying Protea or whoever they were supposed to pay. They drew cash and then they went to go and pay, including board allowances. There's been a big issue. The Auditor General, the board chair of the SEC, Musa Mwenye, one of our distinguished sons in this country, his conduct was doubted by many of you callers, but he called all this as blatant falsehood. But the Auditor General's report says from November, when these funds were obtained, there was no proof that the funds were deposited. In fact, he said the funds were missing. This was March 2023, 5 months later. And he asked, can you quickly deposit this money? Because when it comes to the public, it will be a big scandal. And he put those views in the Auditor General's report, this interim management letter. We have seen what the minister has said. And the minister says, no, the money was deposited, we gave directives and the money was deposited. But the auditor says there was no evidence. This gentleman is coming from the diaspora. Maybe we can make him call back, my brother. I've seen a foreign number from abroad. Quickly call. I can take your 2 numbers, even if we're about to wind up. This is a local number. Good evening. Yes, your name, sir?
Wade here.
Mr. Wade, you are back?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, you have not codified what I was saying. Mr. President, we make an appointment for you. That's the thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think there's a proper way that you can handle that thing, Mr. President.
No problem. Let me send you my number. I'll send you my number. We can have a discussion off this forum.
Okay, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. There's a UK number. I'll grant you the last call. But this is how, there's a UK number, if you can call quickly, that I take your views and concerns before we close. And lastly, we're discussing the church. This matter is not going away. It remains controversial. I've called on the president and the UPND to apologize, especially for the remarks against Archbishop Alec Banda and Archbishop and the parish priest, Father Anthony Kapembwa Salangeta. I have said the party needs to apologize, especially that Honorable Batuke Menda spoke in his institutional capacity as UPND Secretary General. There's been no apology. This is the only way you can scale down. I bothered to look for a video where the president was hailing the church for his critical voice, and this is the video that we've been playing. Okay, so I think you have to call us. There's another call. Let me just see if I can take this call. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. We are about to close. Make your contribution very briefly. Your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Gift calling you from Chipata.
Yes, Mr. Gift from Chipata. Make your contribution, my brother.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that this is a very good program. At least people are able to air their views and accommodating everyone. It's really good. And I think this is the culture that we should embrace.
Yeah.
But just one last thing I wanted to say was I think it's always important to be very objective and factual when we are addressing these issues that affect the country. That's just my advice. Today I don't want to pick any topic. I just wanted to say thank you for the program. It's good. People are able to really interact. It's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, just to answer Gift from Chipata briefly, I endeavor to establish the facts, find the relevant information, and offer my opinion, then invite you to speak. But the basic issues should be that the entire program should be founded on the truth. We can offer our opinion to the facts that are brought to your attention, and I always offer my opinion and then invite you to speak. So we're discussing the church. The matter has not gone away. I've called upon the UPND to apologize for those remarks. They will haunt them. A friend of mine was saying, where do you want to help them? Don't even ask them to apologize. When your enemy is making mistakes, don't allow them to make those mistakes. No. I think for the harmony of the country, the president and the UPND Secretary General must apologize for those adverse remarks that were issued. And you can't separate Archbishop Dr. Alec Banda from the church. You can't say we are speaking about two individuals, not the church. There is no separation whatsoever. If there's anything that they've done wrong, the church will deal with that. But our role as they speak for the church. So let me say my goodbyes. We'll see you on Friday. Let me read to you Numbers 6, verse 24 to 26, which is customary, just to bless you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you, and may he be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Good night. We remain with 4 videos that we are playing. One for the president, for Bishop Imakando. One someone asked. We'll play all the 4 videos, and then we'll play the theme song. So good night. God bless you. See you on Friday.
Wonderful statement that the Catholics issued. And thank you, my colleague, for covering the misdemeanor of those 2 ministers, for disowning the credible Catholic Church, who have always been there to save us. In 1990, they were there to save the country from total collapse. The Catholics have been there until and we want to encourage the bishops and the Catholic flock not to be intimidated by a small group of people that are exiting government in a few months from now. They should not be intimidated. Be strong. Many of us respect your leadership in this country. Other church mother bodies, so ZCCB, who are others, CCZ, EFZ. They've all said no. Clear. Those are the people. They carry more people than any single political party. That's a fact.
The second thing that I want to share with you is that this month will be a game changer. This month will be a game changer. We have considered that this month will provide an opportunity to start afresh in every area of our lives, in the church, in the nation. Meaning that the month of August is a game changer. Change is constant. Everything is subject to change. People change. Fashions change. Countries change. You are changing every day. Change is all around us. As I have interacted with people from all walks of life, I've heard them complain. They are complaining that there are no medicines in hospitals, in the clinics. Some are complaining that their businesses have been affected because of the depreciation of the kwacha. Some are complaining that the cost of living has gone up. Some are complaining that their businesses have collapsed. Others are complaining about violence. And others are complaining about the mountain of debt. Something is wrong somewhere. There is need for change. We can't go on like this. It is time to change what is not working. It is time to change. It is time to change direction. It is time to change association. It is time to change what needs to be changed. If your relationship
GDP, Millennium Development Goals, Zambia will reach sub-shine. Zambia reaching Amasapu Yang. Narumba ma graph. Kwa misi graph, kwa misi ruto shiwa maye. Kwa misi kutiafi, kwa jack, ruto shiwa maye. Ulipate mwarelu. Kwisa punch, not low graph. No. Hata ukwete wali ubunga Mzambia tapade fiori so mulebewa amen.
Tungulu shisha eklesia bale shito kuti shetani mwali umfwago tefyo emkwai Archbishop wakulusaka banda bamwitire okutila Lucifer kuchironganino ichireteka. Lucifer ni shetani ulio waponene kumulu eo baitako shikofu wesu kuti ni shetani. Nerili ashi lyafuma fya panono pamulando wakulanda pamagrafu elio nolutoshi epafuma umusalola uwine chilifye inendeti mweba politician na imwe mweba konkama politics yachimperesha mufwili okwishiwa okuti eklesia ashimpwa na Kristo umwine nangu mwela wise tete achitashani kanshi eklezia alilimbwa takatali atelententa mukatukana apo mulefu aira nensele shenu shikapuana mukanwa kenu kabiri mukabwekesha apo na kabiri ukutukana shimo shine na sho shikapua mukutuka eklezia ichisheleko na mateya kama neshiwi likaya ilya kutukanina kwensele eklezia telelo atampo okutukwa kutina mwebukishako mweba kulilya kale ntamba lukuta mankangala munshifukatilwa kaunda tachindike bakatolika aleti bakatolika nga napita mulino okwendela pesa pali kolona twaliendelapo lesa mufulula naletusha muchibote na mukulekelesha kukanwa kakwe twakwate nchitwe ikalambanga nshi muri ba MMD government muri ba shukuru ba rupia banda umo eklezia asangwike na kabiri ichilwani chaba MMD finchi fya chiteke lesa asuka fyonse fyo abantu bakwe balelomba barupia banda bapona balira nechilamba mwalemona mwebalemonako bapona ubutungulushi bwafumapo nabwo eklezia alesho kulanda apakalamba nomba bwena kateka wabo alikweteka omuchinshi lungu tale angalira kuli eklezia tale tukana ababale mukonka ebale fwayo kulasa muna utunwa kwa tifimbasa nomba nabo bafilwa mpaka fyelesa abakuntama bupanshi abapela ola munsogoso monse na mumagufi monse na mutu boyo monse na munsekete kumo abapela ili na kabiri twamona okuposhiwa kumusalulo ushabatishiwa nganji huwa kutuka church imwe ilio mwansalula ukulekanya ubupatili nechilonganino cha eklezia chila shupa ilio mulesalula ine ni eklezia wakwaleso mulechitashani mulesalula ni Kristu umwine eo mulesalula pano pamwesunda konkomesha uti ifi tulanda ni mwetulandila kono kulandila atailo vini abekala nensala ni bani ina kuti nafuma ve pano pene na mkutandala bufi pali bana mpanza ushende bwela pofye mwebo muyetandala pakubala mulepulila panse yondi no mulimo ndepeta mwe umfokulira kwa bantu kazama yuti bose batindame abakuru n'abana bose bashitata n'abana mayo banelirawe mwamba kazama ile faya iwe winewe boweshi mwamba leka experience alankane wabomba mwamba Imanuelo bose bakasama bale faya mwamba Imanuelo bakasama bakulira ule faya mwamba wesu Imanuelo chipani ni PF Imanuel